Welcome to r/am I the jerk, where this man wonders if he's in the right or the wrong for forcing his girlfriend to cook along with all the other women at a family event. Am I the jerk for begging my girlfriend to uphold a sexist tradition just so she can make a good first impression? I have a big family that's incredibly close. We have big family dinners every few months where we all meet at my great-grandfather's estate and eat together. Typically how this works is that the women cook for the time they're there and the men don't, which I'm fully aware is sexist as hell. That being said, I am one of the youngest people in my family and my protests mean literally nothing. Some of these women choose not to cook. However, this is usually met with a level of ostracizing. The women who don't cook are lives and long-term girlfriends, so they kind of already have a good family relationship doctored in. When I've seen new partners not cook, it's gone bad. Like completely ostracized, not speaking, cattiness, rudeness, etc. This dinner will be in 2 weeks, and my girlfriend was asked if she would attend. Initially, she said yes, which is great. I want for her to meet everyone and for everyone to get used to her being around. But when I explained to her the tradition, she was understandably bothered. I told her that I understood where she was coming from, however, it was best for everyone if she just played along. I told her this isn't a permanent thing, and I'm only asking her to do this so that she can avoid bad treatment from the rest of the family. This is her first impression, and I don't think it's best if we cause waves. She told me that it's unacceptable and that if she has to do that, she won't be going. I've tried to find a compromise with her on this, but she won't budge and she's angry at me. She told me that if I think it's acceptable to make her do this, I'm just as bad as everyone else. While my point is that she needs to make a good first impression. So, am I the jerk? Listen, traditions aside, this one is very, very simple in my opinion. Unfortunately, you're being the jerk here, OP. The fact that you know yourself that you're in the wrong, surely that's enough to think, hang on a second, do I really want to do this? Or is it time for me to be the first one to stand up against this very, very archaic and ultimately very backwards tradition that my family is still running with in the 21st century? I mean, that alone is embarrassing. And the fact that you don't have the balls to stand up for yourself and your girlfriend is even more embarrassing. Sorry, but I think that's the case. What about your family making a first good impression on her rather than the other way around? Surely it's a two-way street, right? She's checking out your family and seeing if that's compatible for her in the same way that they're meeting her for the first time. I think it works both ways, and ultimately, this is just sexist. Am I the jerk for leaving my husband at home while I spend the week at my brother's because of how he buys groceries? I've been in a committed relationship with my husband for 17 years, and overall, things have been great. We've had a few rough patches, but what's important to note is that while he earns more than me and is considered the main provider, I have a substantial trust fund that ensures we're financially stable. I work part-time as a teacher while attending university, earning less than him, and most of my income goes towards tuition. Our household income exceeds $200,000 annually, while the average in our area is below $50,000. One ongoing issue we have is my husband's frugality. He likes to control my spending and have the final say on how he uses his earnings. It's worth mentioning that I've never used any of his income, and I have no intention of doing so. However, the main point of contention between us is his frequent visits to food banks. Despite having more than enough food at home, he insists on going to food banks to save money. He intentionally looks disheveled and uses our beat-up car to blend in, even though he's never experienced food scarcity. I've explained to him the need for food donations in our community, even showing him social media posts from local food banks, but he remains indifferent. I suggested he volunteer or donate to gain first-hand experience, but he refuses. The unfortunate part is that since we're never short on food, most of what he brings home ends up getting thrown away. Today, I discovered our fridge filled with fresh produce and meat that clearly didn't come from our regular grocery store. When I confronted him, he admitted to going to a food bank after seeing a Facebook post about a donation of fresh food. People on social media were already asking if any was left, and there wasn't. I showed him these comments, but he brushed them off, claiming people should have gone earlier. Exhausted by the situation, I packed a bag and went to stay with my brother for the weekend, asking for space to think things over. My husband accuses me of overreacting, being vindictive, and threatens to go back to the food banks regardless of my feelings. His family is also messaging me, calling me a jerk, and urging me to stop interfering with his choices. I turned off my phone, but now they're bombarding my brother with messages. Thankfully, he supports my decision and ignores them. All I want is to enjoy the rest of my week without being angry at my husband. Yes, I could let this go and not scold him, but the food he takes could have gone to people who truly need it. I'm not leaving my husband, but I need a few days to gain some clarity. Am I wrong for wanting this space? Okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's clear. OP, you're not the jerk. The fact that your household income is 200k combined, and you say you have a trust fund as well, but you're going, well, sorry, not you, but your family, I guess, is utilizing food banks is actually disgusting. Food banks, I don't even need to go into what a food bank is or why it's there or who needs it and what using it when you don't need to. The ramifications that could have. They're just very, very obvious. Your husband is just a terrible person. I'm sorry. There's frugality, which is one thing. And I agree, sometimes you can be too frugal. Often I think that I can be myself. But there's also just downright, I don't know, ultimately stealing. And that is what your husband is doing. So yeah, on the one hand, maybe it's sometimes a good thing to be careful with money. But if you're taking food from people who can't afford it, then that's just ridiculous. Am I the jerk for posting videos of my niece and nephew misbehaving in response to my sister's complaints that I did not want them at my birthday dinner? My sister Angel claims to use hands-off parenting with my niece Sophia and nephew Parker. In actuality, Angel is entirely permissive and refuses to discipline them. She expects other adults to step in when Sophia and Parker's behavior is getting out of hand. For this reason, I asked Angel to get a babysitter for Sophia and Parker if she wanted to attend my 27th birthday. I love Sophia and Parker as their aunts. And at the same time, I want a peaceful evening to celebrate my birthday instead of dealing with Sophia and Parker's behavior, because I know Angel isn't going to discipline them herself. Angel acted understanding when I made this request and explained my reasons to her in person, but then she went online and made a Facebook post accusing me of hating Sophia and Parker and trying to punish Angel by only inviting our sister Jessica's kid, Megan, to my birthday dinner. Never mind that Megan is 17 and practically an adult herself. Several of our relatives and mutual acquaintances called me out and said that I was a jerk and was excluding a 10 and 7-year-old. I responded to Angel's post by sharing 2 videos of Sophia and Parker misbehaving while Angel did nothing. The first video was a recording taken by Megan, where Sophia and Parker were throwing tantrums and yelling at her. Megan was trying to calm Sophia and Parker down, while Angel was on her tablet ignoring the situation. The other video was one that Angel took. Sophia and Parker were yelling, throwing toys at each other, and Parker even called his sister a bad word. Angel was laughing as if it were funny, and was again doing nothing to discipline Sophia or Parker. I wrote alongside the videos that I love Sophia and Parker as their aunts, but at the same time, I want a peaceful evening to celebrate my birthday. And I don't want to be stuck disciplining Sophia and Parker because clearly Angel won't. Angel ended up not coming to my birthday at all. My parents told me that I was in the wrong for sharing those videos because everyone's children has acted up and posting those videos didn't accomplish anything besides embarrassing Angel. They also said I could have compromised by having a nobody under 18 rule for my birthday dinner. Megan would not be able to attend, but then Sophia and Parker wouldn't feel excluded. But I do not see how that would be fair to myself or Megan. So, am I the jerk for wanting to make compromises for my birthday dinner? Okay, definitely not the jerk here, OP. Actually, the way you went about this was brilliant. If you're being called out online by someone when it's completely just not factual, then you're well within your rights to do exactly what you did in this situation. The thing that I like about it is that you didn't just get really annoyed, which to be honest, I reckon I would have done, and just posted the videos and left it at that and said, no, this is the reality. You actually came with a little bit of, kindness and said, look, I do love you guys. However, this is the truth. And this is my birthday and I can kind of do what I want. And also, yeah, of course you could put in a nobody under 18 rule, but the fact of the matter is you want Megan to be there because it's your birthday and you want Megan to be there. So that's completely fine. It's your birthday. You can invite whoever you want. And for my 27th, I don't really want a 10 and a 7-year-old who are very poorly behaved to be there either. Makes sense. Am I the jerk for lashing out at my family for calling my fiance my second wife? Years ago, I was married to a close friend. We were roommates, adopted a dog together, and lived together since college until our mid-late 20s, married at 24 and 25. However, we were never actually romantically involved. She wasn't interested in marriage and also questioning her sexuality at the time, but her family was ultra traditional and messy for many other reasons and kept pushing her to settle down. I'd just gotten out of a rough long-term relationship and we kind of both just said, screw it. We basically were kind of living like a married couple. Let's get married for the convenience. So we did the paperwork for it, but we never had a wedding. We were also never romantically involved. She just wasn't my type and I wasn't hers. My family knew she wasn't my wife in the traditional sense. They did heavily disapprove though. When I started getting back into the dating scene, we split up and legally divorced. She remains one of my close friends to this very day, and I care for her a lot. It's been a few years, and I'm now 32 with a lovely fiance who I cannot wait to marry. However, ever since I announced the engagement, my family has been making weird comments like, "Oh, so Roxy, my dog, is getting a new stepmom. Wife number 2 at 32, huh? That's a lot of wives for your age. Let's hope the second one lasts." It makes both me and my fiance uncomfortable. I keep on saying that my close friend wasn't really my wife in the traditional sense, but my family brushes me off by saying that they're just joking, or she is technically my second wife anyway, so it's not like they're wrong. Today at breakfast though, I blew up at them and called them disrespectful and rude for belittling my relationship. My mum and my sister both said that if I didn't want to hear these statements, I shouldn't have married my close friend. I threatened to not invite them to the wedding, and now things are super tense. So, am I the jerk? Well, I think that is 3 not the jerks in a row. Quite obvious ones in my opinion as well. I mean, there's just no way that you're in the wrong here. Yeah, a couple of jokes here and there are fine. But if they're in front of you and your fiance, I mean, that's just not that funny, is it? If you imagine coming into that as the new fiance, especially given that the first relationship wasn't even a real relationship. Like, it wasn't really a marriage, was it? It was a marriage of convenience at best, at most. In reality, it was literally just signing a contract for both of your benefits, because why not? I think it's just poor, isn't it? One joke once in a while, maybe that's enough. But if you've said to your family, like, this is actually making me and my fiance uncomfortable now, can you please not? Then that should be the time to stop. And if they're getting annoyed by that, then I don't know, they've got issues themselves. For sure. Would I be the jerk if I go around my brother and sister-in-law and buy my nephew the Lego Roman Colosseum after they returned his original one? It was returned after my nephew refused to build it with his profoundly mentally disabled sister. I mean, just off the bat here, what is that for a title? My family and my brother's family visited my parents at their vacation house for Memorial Day weekend. There, I noticed that my normally energetic nephew, a 14-year-old, seemed very upset at something. I pulled him aside and asked him if there was anything wrong. He told me that his parents promised to buy him the Lego Roman Colosseum. My nephew is a huge ancient history buff, if he did well in school. But when the package arrived, they said that he should be a good brother and let his sister, who is 11, help. My nephew told them that having his sister help was pointless since she's completely non-verbal and has a habit of kicking things when she gets upset. As a result, my nephew had his Lego set returned for talking back and being disrespectful. After we went back home, I asked my brother if what my nephew said was true. He said that it was. I then asked if my nephew said anything in particular. For example, calling his sister a vegetable, beyond calling the idea of letting his sister help ridiculous. He said no. I told my husband that I'm seriously considering buying my nephew that Lego Roman Colosseum for his upcoming birthday in August, as my brother and sister-in-law were being completely ridiculous. My husband agreed that my brother and sister-in-law were being ridiculous, but didn't like the idea of me replacing the returned Lego set. He said that I'd be undermining their parenting and provoking an unneeded conflict between our two families. Okay, the sentiment here is good, I think. Overall, you didn't feel like it was fair in the first place, and you're being generous and you want to buy, a nice gift for your nephew. But I think that's it. I think that's where the sentiment ends. And in reality, you are kind of going behind your nephew's parents' backs here, right? Because they're the ones that ultimately have to parent their child. And they've made that decision to say, look, no, you can't do this. You need to involve your sister. And if you're then undermining them and saying secretly, no, you can have it. First of all, that's going to completely screw with your nephew's mind. Second of all, it's just completely going behind your own siblings' backs, which is a terrible thing to do. And thirdly, it's just weird, isn't it? Like, at the very least, you'd ask and say, I know this happened before. Can I get this for him? Is there a lesson there? But doing it secretly is just very, very strange. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, wouldn't any good parent say, especially when you have a mentally disabled sister, yes, let her do it with you? I mean, surely that's just the fairest way of doing it, right? I mean, I'm not trying to parent here, but I'm just saying you got to let the parents parent whatever they want to do. And yeah, definitely don't do it without asking. Am I the jerk for prioritizing my daughter's school performance over her emotional well-being after her mother's death? I am a 39-year-old man, and I feel conflicted about a recent decision I made regarding my teenage daughter, who is 16, following the death of her mother. I can't help but wonder if I made a huge mistake, so I'm turning to you, Reddit, to pass judgment on whether or not I am the jerk in this situation. Since my wife's passing, life has been tough for the both of us. Dealing with my own grief while trying to provide for her has been a challenge. My daughter has been extremely distraught, and I can see how much she's struggling emotionally. However, when she asked me for time off from school to process her grief, I ended up prioritizing her academic performance instead. I'll admit, I've always been a stickler for education, and my daughter is a bright student who excels in her studies, particularly maths and science, which are very important, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize that. When she approached me, I couldn't help but think about how it would impact her grades and future prospects. I was concerned that missing school would lead to a drop in her academic performance and potentially hinder her chances of getting into a good college. So instead of allowing her to take some time off, I suggested that she continue attending school and told her that I believe that maintaining a routine and focusing on her education would provide stability and keep her on track. Apparently, my daughter was devastated by my decision. She accused me of not caring about her feelings and prioritizing her school performance over her emotional well-being. She believes that I'm being callous and unfeeling, dismissing her need for time to heal. So, Reddit, am I the jerk for putting my daughter's school performance ahead of her emotional well-being, as she put it, and the death of her mother? I'm genuinely questioning if I made the right decision and would appreciate your honest opinions. Thanks for reading. And there we go, guys. I've saved the best to last. And by best, I mean by far and away the biggest jerk of this episode. What the fuck? Like, sorry, what the... I don't want to swear, but I mean, genuinely, how brain dead are you? I really, by the way, I really hope this person isn't watching this video, but if you are, mate, like, you're just so dumb. What are you talking about? You know what's crazy as well? For those of you that aren't watching and are listening, the dad has put emotional well-being in, like, inverted commas or whatever it's called, inverted quotes, kind of like taking the mick out of his own daughter. Like, as she put it, he put it in brackets, after the death of her mother. Maybe have a little bit of compassion. I don't know, maybe say, yeah, don't just go straight back to school if you don't feel like it, because your mum's just died. These are the facts. Now, I do get his overarching point that perhaps routine is good in a mortifying time like this. However, given the circumstances and saying that your daughter actually saying to you, look, I really need some time off here, you can't then say, no, you're going to school every single day. And also, by the way, science and maths are important. Yeah, I mean, so's the fact that your mum's dead. How about that? And also, you don't seem to even care that much that your own wife's dead. I'm not going to like tell you how to grieve, but you know, you need to show a little bit of empathy for your daughter whose mum has literally just passed away. You absolute clown. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of r/Am I the Jerk. If you're wondering yourself, are you the jerk? Have a look in the mirror this evening before you go to bed and just really think about it. Have I been a terrible person today? And if the answer is no, then fair play, you're doing something right. Because every day I look in the mirror and I think, wow, it's been a long one for me. I hope you've enjoyed it nonetheless. And if you want more content from this subreddit right away, check out the video on screen or down below in the description. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow with a brand new set of Reddit stories.